Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Metacast podcast. This is the podcast about itself, ourselves, and the self in general. Today, we're going to have an interesting topic. We are discussing death positivity, and we have a special guest today. Let's see here. I think I can do this. There we go. Hey, everyone is on stream. How are you guys doing?
What's going on, partner?
So, as always, I'm joined by my trusty co-host, Distance. And today we have the special guest, GothxSpice. How are you doing today? Oh, shit.
We do not have our audio.
We don't have audio on you. Was something happened to your audio?
Did I mute myself?
There we go. Yes, you did. You did.
Okay.
Sweet, sassy. We're not used to technical difficulties not being our fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. All right.
So around here we've got a big
We'll do it live.
mentality. We tend to do things live. So we are struggling to get through this, but what is up, everyone?
Well, I keep myself muted on my stream, so it's only fitting that I accidentally mute myself on other people's streams too.
That understand. That makes sense. Okay, so I think I stumbled through the intro. Did I get everything right? I introduced everyone. Oh fuck! I totally fucked up.
Did you,
I had the perfect intro for you today.
Are we surprised?
Today's-
you did.
today's
You
subject.
told me about that.
Yeah, today's subject. Listen to what I wrote out for this. I'm just gonna go over it again. Welcome to the Metacast podcast, the podcast about itself, ourselves, and the self in general. So that part's good, right? And then listen to this. As always, I'm joined by my co-host. His first name is Distance, and he really doesn't care if he never wakes up again. Isn't that fucking perfect for today?
that's how I got my fucking name. Like that's where this came from. Oh god.
And for some
Here
reason,
we are.
Yep.
Yeah, what do they say? Bob's your uncle. It's the British thing.
I actually don't have an Uncle Bob.
Well,
Me neither.
Yeah, you're just wrong here.
I forgot I can't speak figuratively around Ty. Apparently,
can't.
you either.
You really can't.
Yeah.
I've made that mistake many a time, and it's not doesn't do anything for you.
You guys have to remember my dangerous levels of autism. I take everything literally, so
Everything.
pretty much.
All the things.
But anyway, so circling around, we've introduced ourselves. We talked about how our day. Well, we didn't really talk about how our day was because I don't think we want to do that. I think we've
my
all
day.
had pretty shitty days, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So let's disregard our days. And let's just get right into the topic at hand. GothxSpice has given us a video that we're gonna watch. And this will hopefully prompt some conversation here.
Oh, it will prompt lots of conversation. I'm
Ty,
excited.
buddy, look, I know that you got us in the stream, but I'm not seeing your pretty face in the chat here, and it's like really fucking weird.
It
I don't-
is.
I
It
don't
is.
think-
I don't like it.
We're not enjoying looking at each other.
Well, you know what you could do? You could just pull up my stream.
It's awful, actually.
But then it's like delayed as fuck, and it's like weird. It's like a total trip.
That is
That's
true.
what I've
Well-
been
The
doing.
same.
She's right. It's not.
It's really not.
You see, the issue is I don't know if Appear.in and Streamlabs can both have my camera at the same time. And at this
I can
point, I'm
cry on
scared to
demand,
try.
Ty. I will cry right now.
Please
Do
do.
it.
We're waiting. Go on.
I can't really cry on demand, but I will kill a hostage.
God damn it.
Okay.
Their blood will be
can't-
on your hands.
We can't have that.
Well, no, if you can't do it, you can't do it. But it would just be like kind of nice, because I mean,
I'm actually very disappointed. I really wanted to see you cry.
That's kind of fucked. I like it.
Not in a negative way.
I
just,
could break this like ceramic tumbler and stab myself. So I probably wouldn't cry. I'd just scream.
I would think
Yeah, I
that you
need
would.
like emotional pain.
Yeah, I think you would just cry breaking that tumbler. Doesn't that thing mean a lot to you, man?
Actually, yeah, I really like this tumbler.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Slash
cool.
the tires on your bike.
Which
Ooh.
one? Oh, the one behind me? I
Yeah.
actually don't ride that one that much.
Fuck.
There's one over there, then there's one over there, then there's another one out there.
Damn it.
You know what bikes can do? If you ride them hard enough, they can kill you. You guys ready to talk about death?
Nice segue.
I tried.
Which segways can also kill you if you try hard enough, I suppose.
That is very true. Let's see. What is the channel we're watching here? What is her name?
It is the channel name is Ask a Mortician, but her name is Doughty, and she is my queen, my morbid queen of death. I love her very much.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hear what she has to say. So this video is called Corpse Control, and in parentheses, Know Your Rights.
Oh, wait, am I gonna have to like get on the stream to watch this? Fuck.
Yes.
God damn it to hell. Hold on a second.
This is a story about corpse control. My corpse control.
Not yet, Ty. Not yet.
Control of what I say. Control of
Hashtag
Hold
do
on.
it live.
Exactly. Ready and
That's
do
a
it
Janet
live.
Jackson reference. You young people.
What happened?
Motherfucker. Hold
I
on.
got
I'm
you.
watching a
I just-
goddamn advertisement on Twitch.
Yep, that's why I went back to
You
the
got
beginning for you.
25 seconds.
What is the advertisement for?
So far, it's. I don't remember who the song's by. It's from like 1988. That I Want to Dance with Somebody song.
So,
Oh,
Are
it's for fucking Amazon Prime.
oh yeah, that would make sense. Yep.
Shut the fuck up, Alexa. Okay, all right.
Oh, I could probably share a screen.
You
Actually-
could.
Yeah, let's hold on. Let's do it like real live. Oh, actually no, that's another PC.
All that for nothing.
I can't
All
share
that
that
my
screen
God.
because it's on the other PC. Yeah, that doesn't work. Okay. We'll figure this out one day, guys. We'll do it live. All right.
Yeah.
You guys are both ready to watch the video though at this point?
Well,
Yes.
we've been ready.
We have.
This is a story about control. My control.
This is a story about corpse control. My corpse control. Control of what I say. Control of what I do. And this time, I'm gonna do it my way.
That's super
That's
ominous.
a Janet Jackson reference. You young people who only know the Ariana Grandes, respect your elders. This video actually is about corpse control, not false advertising. Specifically, how much control you have over your dead if you keep them at home and have a home funeral versus keeping them at a funeral home, crematory, or other death business. You know, I want you to be involved with caring for your dead. Like, that's my entire reason for being, is getting people to hang out with dead bodies. But that kind of involvement looks different for everyone. I don't want you to feel like there's a one-size-fits-all way to do it. More importantly, I want you to understand how to work with funeral homes to achieve what you want. You should know your rights over the dead body, but also understand that funeral homes have rights as a private business.
I didn't realize you had rights over a dead body.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. Okay, I'm going into
You
this like
absolutely do.
that's kind of cool. I'm going into this like way blind. I don't know much about this. This is very interesting so far though.
Let's start.
I know enough to, after this whole video's over, like I know enough that I've learned from her to kind of put in my 2 cents or whatever. But yeah,
Okay, cool.
continue.
Start with home funerals. Home funerals. In this scenario, you have full access to the body. It helps if the person actually dies at home, say under hospice care, but if they die in a nursing home or hospital, you can still bring them back home. Oh yes, you can. Here's an important
Whoa.
tip. Make sure the person is supposed to be dead. If they die at home and it's an expected death, a hospice nurse or doctor will declare the death. If the person is 45 years old and keels over while ordering a pizza, call the police. You have to. The police will report the death to the coroner. Don't go straight into the magical home funeral without notifying the authorities, or it goes from beautiful ritual to concealment of a crime real quick.
That's a good point.
All right, so you have your dead person at home. You can wash and dress the body and spend as much or as little time with the body as you want. There's no right or wrong way to have a home funeral. Friends and family can visit or not visit. Everyone can sing or not sing. It's round the clock, full access to your dead body for 2 hours or 2 days. You have corpse control. Control! In some US states, you're required to have a funeral director partially involved with some random thing, like transportation, filing death certificates, or supervision, whatever that means. But even in those states, you're allowed to have that home funeral.
Why would you need a professional involved?
I think she gets into that like shortly.
okay.
A lot of the reason being like for the legalities and everything, like
Mhm.
the death certificates and the yeah, she does get into it.
Okay.
And it's more about like legality and I think transportation than anything else.
Gotcha. Okay. It's interesting it's only like a few states though. I wonder why. Like it seemed to be like maybe 5 or 6 states. That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Bonus, a home funeral means you're paying for far fewer services. It has the potential to cost almost nothing, while an embalmed viewing at a funeral home can be thousands of dollars. Control. Funeral home. Honestly, if my grandma died, all my grandparents are dead. I don't know who this extra grandma is, but anyway. I'd want a home funeral, but I'd definitely also hire a funeral home for filing death certificates, liaising with the crematory or cemetery, transportation, etc. That stuff is hard to do on your own, especially in big cities. I know, that's what we do at our funeral home. It's hard for us, and we do it every day. If for whatever reason you decide not to have a home funeral, you can have a funeral home you trust take your grandma's body and prepare it for viewing. But the difference is, when you decide to work with a funeral home...
I need to go back to that real quick. What is the reason for no casket?
That is considered a death shroud.
Okay.
Actually.
So is that body eventually going to be in a casket, or is that going to be buried in that shroud?
Well, that depends. In the funeral home that she runs, called Undertaking LA, I'm fairly certain that she has access to like a burial ground where you can get buried without a casket and without being embalmed and everything like that.
Okay.
Which is something I wanted to touch on a little bit later, because she's started this entire movement and an entire, funeral service in a funeral home, and it's very different than what I've seen personally and what like the stigma around death says today, I think.
Jeez. Yeah, bring it in. Jeez. Talking to the point of saving money on a home funeral, the Big Dog 79 in chat just pointed out a family member's funeral was $12,000 recently.
Yeah, it gets absolutely it's roughly like, I think bare minimum, like to be cremated and buried in a casket, it's like $9,000. It costs
Wow.
$9,000 to die if you do it the traditional way. And like I said, I'm going to touch on this later, but I've had unfortunately many of my family members die over the last 2 years, and it's been different for each one, and it's a very high pressure sales situation, which is fucked beyond all belief that's like that people would actually take advantage of you in that situation so they can mark up their prices and make more money on the death of your loved one,
Yeah. Distance, your mic is muted in appear.in. I don't know what has happened, but there we go. Okay, never mind. I didn't know if you did it on purpose. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't saying anything anyway. I was kind of like, I think I might have said one thing at one point, but it was insignificant.
You
Gotcha.
need to calm down.
I was scared it was technical issues again. But.
No. I just, I don't know if I clicked the mute button or not.
But it is interesting. It's like studies have come out recently that, what is it? A huge percentage of Americans don't even have $400 for an emergency right now. How many people have $10,000 to $12,000 to bury themselves? Or is that being passed on to relatives, basically?
They don't, and it is getting passed on to relatives, and it is something that like it becomes a burden for like your family members, especially if it's like, say a young person who dies like an unexpected death, or even an old person who dies an unexpected death. Like that's kind of like her motive, is to get you to talk about this sooner, to have a plan, to like, instead of like everybody ignoring it and being afraid of it, she wants to kind of coax people into talking about it and having a plan, because not only does it make it easier for you, it makes it easier like for your family members, and it's just it takes a lot of stress off of you while you're alive to know what's going to happen after you die, I think.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I'm someone that I know I over prepare for everything. So I'm wondering if, like, as I get older, am I going to be over preparing for my death, or will I be like most other people and kind of ignore it and not want to think about it? But,
you should be preparing for your death now.
I mean, I think about it a lot. I wish for it a lot, but I don't actually.
That's dark. I know that I've like kind of started the process like with one of my family members that is going to be appointed to like take care of everything. Like we talked about it, but we don't have any like legal forms drawn up. I need to have like a will, like figure out my DNR situation. Like it's this whole big thing that I want to go ahead and take care of, so I can at least take that burden off of my family members and my loved ones, like if something were to happen to me,
Yeah. Well, and like a will is like a living document that you constantly change, right? So there's no downside to making it too early. You can always just amend it later, right? Like, yeah,
exactly.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's I had to go back to the shroud. That was kind of strange for me. That image of no casket was very different.
Yeah, it's different, and that's like her whole like deal, and that's why I love it so much, because it strays away from the norm.
Yeah.
grandma's body and prepare it for viewing. But the difference is, when you decide to work with a funeral home, you indeed have to work with a funeral home. To be clear, you do have rights. Rights like choosing not to have your grandma embalmed, not buying an expensive sealed metal casket, the right to view your grandmother's body no matter what condition it's in. Control! That being said, when you enter into an agreement with a funeral home and entrust your grandma to their care, relieve yourself of primary responsibility of her body, then you have to realize you are also relieving yourself of unfettered 24-hour access to grandma's corpse. You do not have access to a body at a funeral home anytime you want. There seems to be some confusion on this point. My team at the funeral home have definitely fielded questions from people in other states or parts of the world who are irate over the fact that a funeral home won't let them see their grandma's corpse at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday, and if they do, they want to charge a fee.
I've watched Caitlin on YouTube, so I know you have to let me in to see my grandma anytime I want, and you can't charge me because I could do it myself. Caitlin said.
I like her fake voice for like the uneducated viewer. That's good.
No. Caitlin did not say that. You
She's really
misunderstood
funny on
Caitlin.
top of being like
Is this
very educated.
Yeah.
why funeral directors don't like me? Here's the deal. Yes, you retain legal control of what happens to a body, even if it's at a funeral home.
Okay.
However, you are also working with a business, and that business has business hours and other clients besides you. Okay, for example, say you want to be there to witness the cremation and watch grandma be loaded into the cremation machine and push the button. Normally, our crematory is firing on all cylinders. Multiple machines are in use. We're removing bodies from the refrigeration unit to check for pacemakers and identification. Cremated remains are being processed. Like, stuff is happening. But if your family comes in to witness the cremation, all that activity stops. Everything is put away, other machines are turned off, the full focus is on your family and grandma. So yes, unfortunately, we do have to charge you for that. The same thing goes with a viewing.
Makes
I
sense.
talked about this in my first book. People would show up without calling, wanting to see mom one last time. They didn't understand that taking mom out, cleaning her up, reserving the viewing room, having an employee there to take care of you, all these things require scheduling and time and
Costs a lot of money,
resources.
yeah.
Don't come to a funeral home expecting a villainous funeral director foaming at the mouth to secretly embalm your grandma against your wishes. Most funeral homes do want to work with you and make you happy. Calmly discuss the things you do want and how you want to be involved. So many more families want this now, and it's fantastic to hear stories about how funeral directors go, "Oh, okay, sure, no problem." Excellent. Control. Whether you go home funeral or funeral home, there are experts to help you. I'll link some information to this video. What other questions do you have about DIY versus more traditional death care? Do you have questions about your rights and choices?
Well, that's a good question for both of you guys. Do you have any questions about DIY or home funerals?
I do have a couple of questions that I could probably easily Google, but here we are.
No, I'm going to be your expert opinion right here. I've got the answers. I know all the answers.
Oh, do you?
I do.
So
Go ahead.
I've been researching this like 4 years longer than you, and you have more answers than I do.
That's just how it happens. Yep.
Oh,
I don't think so.
you guys are making my dick hurt.
I don't think. Wow.
I do that a lot, man. This weekend, I mean, it
Yeah,
hurt
you
pretty
do.
bad, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, girl.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sorry, we do this all the time.
She
I
knows.
hate to get literally in the middle of you guys.
I think they call it not. Never mind. I'm going to stop.
Stop. Yeah. Just
Back to business. Trying to be professional here.
We're
Let's be
not
professional.
trying to build an Eiffel Tower around these parts.
Jesus
all right?
Christ.
That's what I was gonna. Yeah,
What?
that's what. Okay.
But
Also, side note, I would like to point out that Big Dog, the Big Dog
Wait.
79 said that a healthcare power of attorney is the person that will be with you, in the event to say you're in the hospital and you aren't coherent. They are the
Mhm.
person who will be making those decisions for you. And like I said, mine is like my family member. It's my niece who is oddly enough only like 5 months younger than me, but we've been,
Okay.
friends since we were both like in the womb, so we figured like who better than that person to be there for me in my death. Like,
Yeah.
why not?
That's a good choice. Yeah. So you already have someone set up as power of attorney?
Not legally, but
Okay.
I know who it's going to be. We both have had conversations about what we want, and like if something were to happen to either of us right now, like paperwork or no, like I know that my entire family knows to let her make those decisions, and because she knows what I want. But in the event that we needed like legal paperwork for her to take care of any of that, that is not set up, and that's something that I have failed at getting my shit together when it comes to this kind of thing. Like I need
Gotcha.
like the legal documents that say like this person is in charge of me when I die. She is in charge of my body. She is in charge of what happens to it. Here's what I want to happen to it. Let her make these decisions to have that happen, basically.
So in the vein of the the media today, are you leaning towards a home funeral, or what are your plans?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. 20,000 of 10, keep my dead body at home for as long as humanly possible. Hang out with it, give it high fives. I don't give a fuck. Like I know, and I say this from experience. I know that being with someone after they've passed away, it's really sad at the time. Like
Mhm.
I was with my father when he passed away. I was
Ooh.
like holding his hand when he took his last breath, and the
Mhm.
hospice facility that he was in let us like have plenty of time to kind of like take everything in and like spend time with him after he'd passed away.
Mhm.
And that was super helpful for me. Like it was very jarring at the time. Like before that I hadn't seen a dead body like since I was maybe 5, and I saw it for 4 seconds at a distant relative's funeral, and they were embalmed, and it was like an open casket of somebody I didn't even know. But this
Gotcha.
was different. This was like my
Yeah.
father
Yeah.
who had been sick for a very long time. We were extremely close, and like all of a
Mhm.
sudden, I'm sitting there like next to his, hospice bed holding his hand as
Mhm.
he's actively dying, and
Yeah.
it changed my life, and it made me kind of like take a lot of what Caitlin says a little bit more seriously about like what I want to happen to me when I die, because it was very therapeutic to like not feel rushed
Mhm.
and be able to like have that kind of closure, I guess.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah, so I want people to be able to like have complete control over what happens to me, and I don't want to put my family members in a position to be upsold on anything stupid that I don't
Yeah.
need or want.
Yeah, that is weird that it's like it's a business too. And that's kind of the strange side of this, that it's like, so much of it is, trying to give that closure to family members and everything, and trying to provide this acceptance of death and to move on. But it is weird that it's a business. And like you're saying, there is the upsell side of it and shit.
It is a business, and I understand that like it costs money and it takes resources. Like I get that, and I'm not like knocking. I'm not saying that it should all be free, and that
Yeah.
I'm just saying like I want people to know that they have more options than the $12,000 shiny golden casket that's not biodegradable being put in the ground for a grave plot that you're going to be paying on for the next 5 years. Like
Yeah.
I I personally want to be cremated, and that's, I will admit, completely an ego thing. Like, if my ego wasn't in the equation, I would want to be like put in a death shroud and buried in the ground with no casket. Like, let me go back into the earth from whence I came. Like, I'm fine. Let the bugs eat me. But I have like my dad's remains because he was cremated as well,
Mm.
and that's also like therapeutic to kind of like have that, like, because I didn't get all the time that I wanted, which of course if we had the choice I would have more, all the time in the world with him because it would never be easy losing a parent, but that really helped me.
Yeah.
So, if I may, I'm curious.
Yeah.
At what point did this subject become interesting to you?
Well, I actually started watching Caitlin's videos like a while back.
Did you sort of
Probably.
stumble upon her in the sidebar?
Yeah, I absolutely did. And then I was like, huh, interesting. And then I kind of stopped watching her for a while. And then I came back because whenever my dad got cremated, I was like, huh, wonder what that process looks like. And she has like a lot of videos on that. So I was just like, I got hooked. She's really funny.
She's got videos actually showing the cremation process itself.
No. It's just information. But
Gotcha.
well, I recently bought her first book, the one that she actually mentioned in that video. I finished it today, and I bought it Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Must have been a page turner there.
Yeah, really, really good read. I couldn't put it down, and she definitely. It's full of so much information, and it kind of like opened my eyes to like what really happens and how real and raw it is for people in that industry, and it gave me like a new respect for them. And it's just like this whole thing that I feel like nobody talks about, and I don't it's just so like taboo when in like other cultures, if somebody dies, they will like keep you in the house for weeks to hang out with you, like, and the entire like tribe is obligated to come like to the funeral. And like there's some where they still like back in the day they still like ate people that died, like as like a way to completely get rid of their body and set their souls free to like the afterlife. You know what I mean? Like there's so much like rich culture and ritual within death in so many other places. And in, with us, it's like, here, buy this super expensive casket. You get 4 minutes to see the body. Okay, bye. Like,
yeah. Well, and like you touched on, it's like we tend to not even think about it or address it until it's almost apparent, like almost right on top of us.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because when Ty originally told me that we were going to be talking about like a death positive, I sort of I was thinking that we'd be approaching it like as so like death has no context outside of life, and life has no context outside of death, that kind of thing. Like so you can't think about death when you're dead. You can only think about it when you're alive, and life doesn't matter that much if you don't die. So I guess based on my original impression of it, this is a bit different than I'd anticipated it. So Bridget, can I use your proper name on here?
That's fine. Yeah, you can call me Bridget.
So because I don't
she might use yours, dude.
Yeah.
Do you know mine?
I do.
I keep my anonymity on here. Seriously.
I know. I would never.
This is a persona.
Defile that.
Yeah, don't call him Bobby. His real name is Bobby. Don't do that.
Bobby Fischer. I'm a professional. Bartholomew von Colstingham III. So I guess what I'm curious about. So, what is it? The perception that people have of death. What is it that bothers you the most about it in the West? Is it the way that we treat the body after they die, or is it the idea of your mortality coming at some point, the lack of preparedness? I mean, what is it that really gets you about it?
I wouldn't say that anything like bothers me per se. Like, I don't think bother is the right word. It's just something that I wish was more like prevalent in like a conversation today. Like, it's so taboo. Like there's so many people who just like are so afraid of death and like their own mortality that they don't want to plan for it, they don't want to think about it. And then that ends up in a lot of like I said before, like family members being unprepared or thrust into debt. Like an unexpected death could be like financially devastating for a family, like if they're not prepared for it. And I feel like putting forth these precautions and talking about it more without going, oh no, that's too sad, like it's a part of life, like it's the final step to and it's that. And I wish people had more information about the freedom that they have over either their loved one's dead body or what to do with theirs when they die. Like, I feel like so many people, even myself, like I'm speaking from, this is the kind of things that I've seen and that I've thought about, how it's just, you're kind of like so sad and you're just thrust into this like funeral home. Like, we have one funeral home around here that takes care of everything. Like, it's the big one. It's where everybody goes when they die in this super small town that I live in. And I've been there for every single one of my family members' funerals, which has been 3 in 2 years. So like, I feel like, and I'm not like knocking this funeral home, they're very like nice and respectful, and they take care of people the best that they can, but it's still very like, this is the way that everybody else does it, you should do it too. And you're kind of afraid to speak up to be like, well, that's not really what I want. Like, I want something else. Like, I want to take this dead body home with me. Can I please do that? And you're like, it's just, I wish more people had the courage to be like, yes, this is totally legal. This is totally up to you. It's totally your choice. I wish more people had the information that would give them the courage to speak up against, like, you don't have to do it the same way everybody else is doing it just because they said so.
So would
Yeah.
you say that the chief bit of information that you would want to disseminate is that having experienced this yourself in such a short period of time, which I mean, I've buried a lot of people too, so I haven't done the parent thing yet. Looking forward to that. Sarcasm, right? Can't fucking wait for that.
Kappa.
So I just lost my train of thought. So I guess the chief bit of information that you want to disseminate at this point, having experienced it yourself, is, correct me if I'm wrong, is it that you want people to just know, like, look, when this shit happens to you, you don't have to feel powerless. Like, you can do this, and this. This is your call. You have legal precedence over this, and that. And like, so they don't have to experience what sounds like maybe a difficult experience for you with the funeral homes that you had to deal with.
Right, not only difficult but expensive. Like they could forego a lot of expense, like having a memorial service at home, and that sounds so nice to me. Like me personally, somebody else might want to have a service in a funeral home when they die. They might want to have nothing. Like they might want to do a direct cremation and like just sit in my ashes back with the last person who talked to me. Who cares? Like, and that's fine. But my personal thing is that I would love to know that my body is like comfortable at home, where everybody that I love is comfortable and at home, like at least like at my house, you know, like it wouldn't be this like weird dress up and go somewhere to look at my dead body that's been embalmed. It's like I'm freshly dead, like, you know, we're hanging out, like get that closure that you need while being comfortable in a place that you're comfortable, and then like throw me in a fire, like, and take me home and sit me on your shelf next to my dad. Like that's what I want.
I think
personally.
I think the Clumsy King in chat brings up an interesting question. What are your feelings on human taxidermy?
I don't even know if that's legal.
I don't either.
To be fair, embalming is basically human taxidermy.
Yes, but we don't keep the body around afterwards. We embalm it, then bury it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that embalming fluid only works for so long. Like I'm not, you know, I don't work at a funeral home, so I couldn't tell you. But
isn't there a body of a political figure somewhere? I can't remember who it was.
It's in Europe, right?
Oh, there's tons.
Really?
There are tons of like bodies that are still out there, and like some like obviously mummified ones. But that's another thing that Caitlin kind of offers is she does iconic corpses, and she like tells the stories of like when like really powerful people die and what happens to their bodies, and like some crazy shit happens to some fucking like kings and like saints and stuff, and it gets wild. But that's like that's one thing that I really love about her channel that I really like watching.
Yeah, wasn't there like a famous case of like after a dude was dead for a long time, the Pope decided to like dig up his body and then hang him? I swear I've heard of that recently. It was like a posthumous hanging.
Well, okay, I'm gonna pull this shit up. Sorry, I gotta pull that shit up.
Yeah, be my Jamie. Thank you.
Hashtag do it live.
Yeah, no shit. I'm gonna Google Pope hangs.
Oh,
post-mortem.
Follow-up question from Clumsy King: if human taxidermy was legal and a choice you were going to go to, what pose would you go for?
A dab.
Oh, that's not bad. Dab is not bad.
Wait, I missed that question because I'm freaked out by the search results I just got.
If you were going to be a taxidermied as a human body, what would your pose be? Okay, yeah, I can see that.
That's good. Eyes open or eyes closed?
Were my eyes open or closed right then?
Both.
They were open.
Okay, hold on. Let me just. If we're doing the eyes, I'm just gonna All right.
They would have to like tape up your eyebrows.
They would be glass, and they tape my eyebrows up. It'd be fucking great.
I can do that for about $350.
Have you considered going into the business of mortician?
Absolutely fucking not.
Why not?
I cannot. I am an empath. I could not do it. I am a mother of a small child. Nope. If I would see my first like baby corpse or child corpse, and I would be done for life. Like I would not recover from that. I would not. I do not have the mental vigor to do that.
This is actually called posthumous execution.
Was I right?
In
You must fuck up
890
real bad.
In 897, Pope Stephen VI had the corpse of Pope Formosus disinterred. Is that how you say that? I'm assuming that means dug up, and put on trial during the Cadaver Synod.
Hell yes.
Found guilty, the corpse had 3 of its fingers cut. It was later thrown into the Tiber. I think that's a river.
Oh, maybe it wasn't hanged.
But either
I mean,
way,
still.
I mean, someone might have gotten hanged in here. But it's like, apparently it's like a thing.
Yeah.
Vlad the Impaler was beheaded after he was assassinated.
Yep. Yeah,
What does that do?
well, to me, that's interesting because it's like we've talked about with the positivity of it. The dead body still means something to people. You know,
Yeah,
keeping it
It's
around, like, yeah, it
it's
can
like
be.
it's desecrating. Like, you know, this guy got assassinated. Let's cut his fucking head off because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I
know,
can
it's
get
like-
that. It's funny. It's just funny because I've never thought of it like on the other side of the coin. Like I always think about like a corpse being like somebody that somebody once loved, and it's like hard to let go of. I
Mhm.
never thought of it like, man, fuck this guy in particular. He didn't die enough. We about to kill him again.
Exactly.
Some
Yeah.
corpses are assholes. Some
Yeah.
corpses are just dicks, and they should just be destroyed.
It's the opposite side of the. If you went back in time, would you kill baby Hitler? Would you punch Hitler's corpse? I probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I'd probably get a
absolutely.
good feeling out of
Like-
that. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
That would
is,
make me
this
feel
him?
better.
Is this him? Take that! Like, yeah, just
Fuck you, guy.
while
Exactly.
listening to Hammer Smash Face by Cannibal Corpse.
How fitting,
It's good
Yeah.
theme music for punching a dead body.
especially Hitler's dead body.
Hmm
I do think
10 of
though,
10.
going back to like it was a topic a little bit ago, but we don't address this shit soon enough. And that's been like I was talking to my mom about this idea like a couple days ago. She worked in home health and hospice for a while, and it's like that's never brought up at all as something that you even address until it's like almost right on your doorstep.
Yeah,
And it's so strange.
Well, see, it's funny because the last person that I lost was actually my grandmother, who in 2 days it'll be a month since she passed, and it's funny because she actually is like a beacon of hope for everyone in my family to not like deny it because
Mhm.
this man, she was like. She was paying, like, I remember being a little kid and she would take me, like, on errands with her to, like, go pay her bills or go to the grocery store or whatever. And one of those errands was to go to the cemetery that she is buried in right now to
Mhm.
pay on her grave plot, like,
Huh.
where she was buried. And she had it paid off, like, years and years before she died. She was ready.
That's
She had a
actually kind of
will.
cool.
She was like, this is what's happening. And my grandmother has always, I think that's where I got my sense of humor from because she's very dark.
Okay.
Because they basically like she got like sick a month before she passed away, and she was in the hospital, and they were like, "Hey, it's either a pacemaker or you're going," and she
Mhm.
was like, "Okay, let me go. Like I'm
Mhm.
80 something, I'm tired. Like let's just do this."
Yeah.
And doesn't make it any easier. However, she's
Yeah.
like for the past 2 years, she's been like, "I'm tired. I just want to go." Like she's very like religious. She was like, "I'm just trying to go hang out with Jesus."
Okay.
And my son's like, "Just let me go. I'm good." And she was in the hospital, and they were like basically telling her that she wasn't gonna like hospice was gonna be a thing in her near
Okay.
future. And they were like, "Do you need us to explain anything?" And her response her response was, "Nah, I know how this works."
Gotcha. I
And
like that
love her
response.
so much. I
Oh, yeah.
aspire to be that dying person.
Yeah.
Like I aspire to be that when I am on my deathbed. She's like, "Nah, I know what's happening. Like
Yeah.
I'm not an idiot."
Yeah.
Here, I'm listening. I'm gonna actually mute myself and put you guys on my main speaker. I
Okay.
need a beer.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries.
It's a beer kind of conversation.
Yeah, I already had one. I wish I had another. But yeah,
Have
it's
water.
it's interesting. Like, I don't know. To me, so much of this seems like I don't know. The mourning of the dead and everything that goes on is almost so selfish to me. It seems like it's all for the living, right? Like,
It is. It absolutely is.
yeah, and that's what weirds me out is it's like the person that's leaving, like whether or not, no matter what you believe, right? Like if you believe there is an afterlife or you believe there isn't, either way, it doesn't really matter when you leave, right? Like
Yeah, because they're dead. They
Yeah.
like they can't. It's not like they can come back and tell you like, "Yo, Jesus is for sure here.
Yep.
Put down the crack pipe. Like, don't do it, man. Bad idea." Like, it's not something. Yeah, it's absolutely for the living, and
Yeah.
but like it's like death is more of a transition for the living than it is the dead, because when you're dead, you're dead. Like,
Yeah.
it's more of a somebody losing their family members, and like me losing my dad was like a pivotal point in my life that shaped me
Yeah.
and the person that I am, like, wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And some of the things that did happen, like, a memorial service or having his ashes like in my house right now, that's something that like is for me. Like, it is, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it being almost selfish, but it's like it's interesting to me that I've realized so much of my like anxieties and fears and shit is it all boils down to a fear of death. And it's like it's so weird that it's like I feel like I need to finish things because like what happens if I don't do this before I die? But it doesn't fucking matter. Like at that point, like I'm someone that I don't really believe in an afterlife. So
Right.
if I don't finish foiling out my magic cube before I die, who the fuck cares? Like it's not like in the afterlife that's gonna bother me, even if there is one or anything. Like it's
It's
weird
not,
that it's like
yeah.
it's this source of anxiety and stress in my life. It's like, oh, I feel like there's things I need to tie up before I leave.
So there's hold on. I need to look something up real quick.
Okay, while he's doing that, I'm actually going to read something from the book if I can find it. Hashtag do it live. It's like a list of it's a list of like seven things that get to like that 7 reasons why people are afraid to die, basically.
That is a really good question, Low T76. I don't know why I fear the inevitable. I've accepted that I'm going to die. I know that that's a fact. I'm not someone that thinks that like, oh, I'm going to live to be 200 because technology has advanced so far. But it's still irrationally my mind fears it, and I don't know why. And that's kind of part of what this is trying to accept that and change that. Thank you for the question, though, man.
Let me read this through this list, and this is kind of for everyone because you can kind of pick it out and see like which one you are, and like on a scale of like why you're afraid to die if you are. One is my death would cause grief to my relatives and friends. Like that means that you're afraid to die because you absolutely cannot stand the fact that like your children or your parents would be devastated. Like
Yeah.
Like for me, like that's a big one.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, you've got a kid. There's definitely like, yeah.
Right. That's my main. That would be my main concern,
Mhm.
and that I think ties more into, which is the second one, which is kind of what you were talking about. The second one is all of my plans and projects would come to an end.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Right, and that. I'm kind of like between 1 and 2. Like I would worry about like who was taking care of her, like, and not being able to be a pivotal part of her life anymore. Like that would be my biggest issue with dying. But like every issue that I have with dying, my last thought about it is always followed up with, but I'll be dead. So like, who cares?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm not going to know. I'm not going to feel anything. I'm not going to be there for it. Like, I'm not going to be, I'm not like, I don't necessarily believe in a traditional afterlife myself. So I feel like I'm not going to be hanging out like sad that I'm not with her anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's okay. Let's see. Number 3.
It's still the empathy for her, though, of knowing that, like, knowing what you went through when your dad passed.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But that's how I feel when I'm alive. Like, I can't say that, like I don't necessarily fear death, because if I'm dead, I'm dead. Like, there's.
It's actually kind of what I was talking about earlier when I said that death only matters in the context of living, that we can only consider our own demise whilst we still exist.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is a whole other can of philosophical worms. But
before we were born, we weren't considering what it was like not to exist, right? So why do we consider it after death? Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's how I feel. That's what I feel like it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that. So like, yeah. Okay. Number 3 is the process of dying might be painful. That does scare me. Like one of my biggest fears of all time is getting like a terminal illness that causes like a slow, painful death. Not for me. Not gonna happen. Everybody's gonna have to deal with me doing the Anne Hero, because I'm not getting taken from like a brain tumor or something that's gonna like render me useless and
Hey, could I'm sorry.
painful. Nope. No, you're fine.
Could you imagine your death? Just throw this out there. Could you imagine like if your death were a situation in which you would slowly lose muscle strength in your diaphragm and ribs, so they wouldn't be able to expand, so your breasts would get progressively shorter, to the point like where you were like slowly getting strangled by a constrictor type snake?
That sounds terrifying.
That's how I'm gonna die. Just so you know.
Oh,
So, I'm not kidding. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen it actually. But I had an uncle with the same genetic muscle disease as me, and I've actually seen like my deathbed. Like I hung out with him, so like I know what me dying will look like most likely. Hopefully, I'll get hit by a truck. So I don't have to deal with that shit. But just I'm not like trying to. I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, well my death's gonna suck, you fucking pussy. Like I'm just saying like that, just for sake of like context or to relate in some fashion. Like I know me dying will be painful.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, it'll be either that or maybe congestive heart failure.
See, well, if we're going on what diseases we have, Disease of the Week Club, I have Graves' disease, which causes many, many heart problems. So if I were to go on a bender and drink like 7 Red Bulls, I'd probably be out from a heart attack like within 24 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like I had to quit drinking caffeine. I miss Red Bull so much.
Damn, dude, that sucks.
No call.
Hey, you had caffeine at dinner tonight. Don't lie. What are you talking about? You had sweet tea for dinner.
Sweet tea has like this much caffeine.
There is some caffeine in there.
Okay, I'm not
saying. How many milligrams is that?
Hey, do you remember me telling you about my weaponized autism and how I take everything literally? All right. So,
oh God, you're right.
Yeah, I'm right.
You're aware of it. So, okay. Sorry. Is there a number 4?
There's like 7.
Oh,
okay,
shit.
Number 4, I can no longer have any experiences, and my answer to that is like go out and live your life now. You're gonna die one day. Go
Yeah.
do the thing.
That's the whole bucket list mentality, right?
Like, get rid of the shitty, toxic people in your life. Like, eat dessert whenever you shouldn't, because it makes you way too full because you just had way too many breadsticks.
Was that aimed at me because I didn't eat carbs tonight and we went to Olive Garden? Is that what this is about?
No, that was aimed at me because I ate 17 breadsticks and I still got dessert.
You did not. I was expecting you to put down more breadsticks than you did. I was slightly disappointed, but
I didn't prepare. I didn't have time to practice. Okay.
Okay.
5. I would no longer be able to care for my dependents. I think I forgot that this one was on the list, so this is probably my biggest one. Number 6 is I am afraid what might happen to me if there is a life after death. That's an interesting one because like I cannot relate in any fashion, but there's some people who are like, I'm totally going to hell. Gotta stay alive because I don't want it.
That's the whole. You could relate if you just assumed you were wrong. Because I'm in the same boat. If I'm wrong about my religious beliefs, I'm probably going to hell.
Oh yeah, I'm fucked.
So like I can.
If we're talking like Catholicism or something, I'm out. Like I'm not going anywhere nice.
Yeah, if it turns out the Mormons were right, I'm burning for eternity.
Oh no, please don't let the Mormons be right.
I'm probably clipping that.
They're definitely not.
No, they're definitely not. Oh my God, this is like
read their book. It's hilarious. You can borrow my copy if you want.
I would love to. I watched like a 6-part YouTube video today about this chick who escaped like a Jehovah's Witness cult.
Oh
Shit was
God.
wild.
Yeah,
I'm so happy I was not indoctrinated or born into that shit. Oh my God. Like I was forced to go to church sometimes on Sundays and that was awful. So I'm like so happy that wasn't me.
Yeah, Ty, Craig's roommate is actually a recovering Jehovah's Witness.
Really? Is that Matt or is it a different guy?
No, it's a different guy.
Nate. Okay. Oh, Matt's the guy he's staying with in Colorado. You're talking about the guy he lives with here. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, Nate's his roommate. Matt's his boyfriend.
Yeah, so I personally, like I said, I personally can't relate. I haven't been any sort of religion since I was, I think, like 7 years old. I was
same
like,
here. Yeah, same year that I lost it.
Yeah, and let's see. Number 7 is I am afraid of what might happen to my body after death, and this one is the most like. That is the one that you can take the most control over. You can literally write out a paper saying, "Hey, do this," and as long as it is like legal and doesn't hurt anybody, or you can't just like throw your body in a trash can, obviously, for like the guys to pick up. I'm sure people would like that, but it's like you have the most control over
Mhm.
that one.
Yeah.
Out of every single reason that people are afraid to die, that's the one that you can control, and the other one's not so much.
One quick second. I need to run to the restroom. You two talk amongst yourselves. Don't say anything that I wouldn't say.
That leaves a very short list.
Oh God.
Actually, there's a lot of shit you wouldn't say.
Hmm.
There's so many things you wouldn't say. I can't say any of them, but I know them all.
I think I know a couple at the very least.
Yeah.
When I
anything else?
die, I give two shits what someone does to me. Well, that works too. I still though like would recommend writing out a paper, Mr. Loti 76. Then maybe sure, why not?
Yeah, we can go with
Just
that.
literally write out a paper saying direct cremation or whatever. Like
Yeah. Also, I would just say, what if they fuck you?
that's illegal,
thought.
I think.
It is illegal, but hey, might happen.
I mean, it has happened before. And
Well, duh, yeah.
in
So many
somewhere.
places. Like, I
That's-
mean,
Okay,
Was
you
that-
wrote
was
your
that too
first
dark?
will.
is
No,
that too dark?
we're good. When it comes to you and Ty, there's a line, but it's like the bar is like down here.
Oh yeah. Well, if the line is back there somewhere, basically.
Yeah, we
So-
crossed it and kept
Can-
going.
Oh
Can I
God.
ask you?
I'm
Can I
back.
ask you how old you are now?
Me?
No, the
Oh.
low T76. Or
Oh.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm probably fucking that up. I'm sorry.
No, I
But
think
if
it's
you
low
don't wanna
T.
answer, that's fine.
Low,
I'm just
low
curious.
testosterone, right? That's what I got from it.
You would get that from that.
Well,
They make shots for that.
yeah, I would.
It's medically fixable.
I want to be on TRT. Yeah, that would be nice. I would like to propose a segment here. I think it would be really cool to look at the 7 fears of death you just posted and
Mhm.
see what the solutions for them would be. Because you pointed out for number 7, there's an easy solution for that, right? You just write out a legal document explaining what you want to be. Are there any of the other 6? Are they solvable?
Let's see. Let's lurk at them. Let's take a lurk. See. Okay. Let's see. My death would cause grief to my relatives and friends. Okay, I can actually speak on this firsthand, from experience with my like the death of my grandmother, watching my mom deal with it. Because, like I said, my grandma's been, before. I don't even think she knew what the death positive movement was, but she absolutely was. She was a good example of like what to do, as well as my mother. Because what my grandmother and my mother did was they talked about it frequently. They even like read books together. Like my mom would go over to my grandmother's house and like read books about like what they in particular believed happened when you die and how to deal with it, and the transition that comes with it and how to deal with it. And they were very open, and they talked about it, and I think that 100% made things easier, like on my mother. And don't get me wrong, losing a parent is not going to be easy ever. It can only get very, very marginally easier. But it still sucks the whole bag of dicks. But I think
you can remove like 1 or 2 dicks, but it's still gonna suck the rest of the bag, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You can only take a few dicks out of that bag. But I think them talking about it and them like being aware of it, being prepared, and sharing their feelings with each other while she was still alive, about like how she would miss her and how she would take care of everything, how my mom would take care of everything for her and take care of her when she was dying. She was like, please, like, take care of me, and I want you to be there. I want you to, because my mom is the oldest of all of her children. And she's like, I want you there. I want you to help, and I'm going to miss you, and I'm going to be in a better place, and everything's going to be fine. I'll be watching over you. And that's like specific to like her religion and what they believe. And that's totally fine. Like, I'm totally not hating on that. Like, I'm all about whatever makes anybody the most comfortable. And I think that really helped. I think that really made a huge difference. So I would say, to number 1 is talking about it before it's in your face. They've been talking about it for years. My grandma has been like, I'm ready to go. I'm tired. Let's get the fuck out of here. Like, I got shit to do. That's not this. My hip hurts. My back hurts. I got scoliosis. This sucks. I'm out. All right. At least I want to be like, and then my mom was like, okay, well, if she's ready, then like that makes it easier for me. I'm still gonna miss her, and you know,
Yes.
but it brought the conversation in to talk about it and to address it and the
Mhm.
not hide it and be like, oh no, so sad. Wah," you know, it was like,
Yep.
let's actually discuss this while
Yep.
we can, and then it leaves, it kind of ties up those loose ends, and you don't feel like that there's anything left open whenever it's just, we were all expecting this. I've said what I needed to say, and
Yep.
now I can be sad. Like my grandma, it's a quote that I will never forget. When she started taking care of all this stuff for her death when she was alive, when she paid off her grave plot, she got everything paid off. Everything was good to go. And she like told us as a family, she was like, I got everything taken care of, and now the only thing that you guys will have to do is cry. And like that spoke, you know, volumes to me.
Yeah. Well, that is okay. So we found the solution for number one. The whole deterring factor, though, is that that conversation is so awkward and scary for people. How do you make that easier? Do you just fucking talk about it? Does that like just talking about it making it easier, or like what steps can you take to make that a more approachable conversation? I guess.
Do it
Well,
live.
hashtag do it live. You bring your mother on Twitch and you're like, bitch, you gonna die. What we gonna do about it? Like, no, don't do that. Bad advice.
I actually really want to do a stream with my mom. I think that would be awesome. But
I do too.
yeah.
I do too. I want to like verse my mom in Tetris or something.
I don't.
I'm
ever
going
want my
to
mom to know about my stream.
I've actually
Oh God,
recorded.
you would be so grounded.
I've recorded
Oh, I
this
have a
video
clip for you.
before, but I haven't streamed it yet. But we drafted. I had my mom draft a Magic deck for me, and then I played the rounds. But she knows nothing about Magic, so the fact that she like drafted a good deck was kind of cool. But
That's precious.
yeah, I think that would be
miss
fun
Mom.
to do again.
Tell her I said hi.
I will do that. I will.
And
Ask
then
your
I
mom if I
miss,
can hit on her.
I will do that as well. Yeah,
and then ask her if she'll make me a grilled cheese like the good old days.
I guarantee she would.
Fantastic news.
But yeah, so really, I mean, all you can do is fucking have the conversation. It's gonna be awkward. It's gonna be difficult. But the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Well, actually, there is another video of Caitlin's, surprise, surprise, where it's like entitled like how to deal with death deniers in your family, and it was one that's like she like did like a skit of her like sitting around like a Thanksgiving dinner table with her family, and
Yeah.
the kind of responses that you get when you try to talk about this stuff, like, oh, that's too dark, oh, you're so obsessed with this, like, what's wrong with you, why are you so sad? And it's like, I'm not sad, I'm just being realistic, man. But she said that the things that she suggested was to like kind of start out with like, hey, I was reading or I was talking about, she was like, you can even use me, like, hey, I watched this Mortician on YouTube, and you know, she talks about how you should be prepared, like just in case. And then she said like, if all else fails, and I urge everybody to go like watch the video. I'll link it somewhere eventually sometime.
Yeah, drop it in chat.
I will do that. And she talks about how that if all else fails, like no matter what you do, if you just go with your genuine feelings and you go to your family member and you're like, hey, like, I'm worried about this. Like, I'm worried that like I'm not gonna know what to do. I don't want to be in that position. Like, please help me help you after you're dead. Like, please don't leave me in a position to not know any of your wishes or have any financial plan. Like, this is serious. It's gonna happen. Like, please talk to me about it. And she said that that was kind of like the last resort, and that kind of gets people thinking like, you know, if they really care about you, they would be willing to kind of like suck it up and
suck it up,
you know,
and man up,
Man
right?
up.
Yep.
Man up. Man up and do it live.
That was a conversation we had
Exactly.
was that last week or the week before?
It was a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, so I could see that. I mean, it is a tough conversation, but it's one that has to be had. And I think that, yeah, we do need to start having that conversation earlier.
Yeah, we definitely do. And I linked that video in chat if
Nice.
anybody is wanting to
Thank you.
take a lurk. See, it's a good stuff.
For the record, that viewer, Low T, I know him. He's in the military. That's why he wrote. He was in the military. That's why he wrote a will at that age. Because like,
Gotcha. Okay.
in some ways, actually,
Oh.
being in the military might actually be a good thing for being a little more cognizant of your mortality.
That'll do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He did like comms stuff where like they would like jump out of fucking airplanes and like set things up so people could like communicate and crap.
That's kind of crazy. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, dude. That's pretty cool. That's cool.
Oh, he just did it. He's gonna make fun of you for that tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I feel silly for saying it, but it's just one of those like things you say.
It's
I
cool.
guess.
It's cool. We live in the South. That's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But
Don't
yeah.
talk about death. Say thank you for your service. You're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
And today's beer brought to
Cardinal-
you by dead loved ones.
Cardinal rules here.
So what was number 2 again? How are we going to address that?
Number 2 is all of my plans and projects would come to an end, which
That's
I
nice.
feel like I know myself, at least from personal experience. Like, I have so many things, a myriad of things open at any given time because I have a problem. I'm a workaholic. So, like, that's something that I think you just have to suck up. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, if you have a business, insurance policies, paperwork to, who the beneficiary to that business would be, who's going to
Yeah.
take it over, who's the next in line, that stuff can be done. But with
That stuff has to be done.
like, who wants my fucking Twitch channel that's affiliate?
I do.
Yeah, let me
Not
have it,
really.
please.
No,
I-
you can't have it.
I
You don't even
wanna-
have an Instagram. Fuck off.
I want to be the next GothxSpice. If I use like
I could talk like this, and then I could be the next GothxSpice, and
I do not sound like that.
yeah, so you should leave it to me and I'll just pick up where you left off and I'll be the next big thing. I'll put on a
I
wig.
do not sound
That
like
impression was spot on. Well, you
It
should
was
sound
not.
you should sound a little more like
I have a deep voice. What are you talking about?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's GothxSpice. I'm here
There you
to
go.
play some
Much
Rocket League
better.
tonight. And
Yeah, so I got this.
we're gonna do some bench press tonight on the channel.
But yeah,
And
I know.
some anabolic steroids.
I
Sorry,
think
we
you
should get
are.
back to
I think you are
serious.
right though. It's like that is the one that I struggle with the most. I don't know why it matters to me, but it is such a source of anxiety that I feel like there's going to be so many loose ends that are left untied. Because that is
It's
like a constant thing in my day-to-day life is like I keep OneNote on my iPad and my phone and I always have these to-do lists and it's like I'm so stressed about not remembering to do things. And I feel like death is going to be the ultimate leaving so many things undone. And like we've talked about, rationally, it doesn't fucking matter because I'm going to be dead. But for some reason, that just doesn't actually occur to my brain. I don't know why.
I mean, in all
Wonder why that is.
seriousness, I mean, the solution is do it live.
I mean, obviously.
So now I feel like this is a good opportunity to bring one of the Marcus Aurelius quotes I had in mind in on this.
Nice.
This is from Marcus Aurelius Meditations. So actually, it's kind of fucked up. It's his personal journal, but it's like published. So he does a lot of like admonishing himself in this, and there's a lot of use to it. One thing that he said it's translated as you may leave this life at any moment. Have this possibility in your mind in all that you do or say or think.
Hey,
So it's like for me, when this whole thing about like projects being undone and whatnot, a lot of that for me is like motivation to just fucking do it now, do it live.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned the thing about, running errands with your grandmother and going to like a cemetery, I got that right, didn't I? Am I remembering
Yes.
properly? Okay. I think I was interacting with one of our viewers when you were talking about that. So I did, I'll just kind of boast a little bit. So I did a 100-mile bicycle race in April. And when I was training for that event, I decided to near Country Park in Greensboro, there's a cemetery. And I was riding down the Greenway and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ride to the fucking cemetery.
Hell yeah.
So you can imagine some guy like in like tights, like on his bike, like flying through the fucking cemetery. People are like, we're trying to mourn here, and like I'm trying to motivate myself, you fucking pussies. But I kept just having this feeling, like I kept sort of telling myself, like, you're gonna fucking end up here. Like you're gonna end up here. Like you will be here.
Yep.
You need to fucking train. This shit needs to happen. The other thing for me is that I'm progressively more crippled every day, really, by a little bit. So it's always like, is this the last year I can do this? Is this the last year I can ride at all? It took me 11 and a half hours, by the way. It was brutal.
Jesus.
It's your butt hurts more than your legs. It's
I
really
believe
training your
that.
butt.
You're
get
used to
saddle
that,
for
though.
long.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's all that dick hurting me
Yeah.
and Ty do to each other.
I know. It's a big
but-
deal.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of that
Doesn't
is
hurt.
fine. There's
doesn't
gonna be
hurt.
shit that's maybe like undone or loose ends, but
Yep.
And to your point earlier, you were talking about like I'm not sure exactly what you were talking about, but it was organizing your magic like.
Yeah, the example I
cards
gave
in
was like
some fashion.
I've got a cube of magic cards, and my goal was to foil out the entire thing. It's just
Oh,
like
that the one that you sent me the picture of.
I don't know. I don't know if I did or not.
I'm pretty sure you did. It's like, oh, never mind. Let me look through my phone. That might have been a picture of your dick.
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Just kidding. Oh, dude.
I
this
can
guy
leave
just-
if you guys need some time alone.
Sketch. Oh no, we're gonna get it. Don't you
Nah,
worry.
That's
believe it.
TOS. We can't really.
We gotta. It's a hard. It's a difficult relationship, but we've made it work. But I think that there's this. Yeah, no one gives a shit about your fucking cards. Sorry, love you to death, buddy. But like, no one gives a shit about like I'm trying to think of something that's completely trivial that I do. No one cares about how well organized my sneakers are. Not that that's some kind of like.
Oh, I know. I super care about
but-
that. That's very important to me.
So it's like if I leave home and my shoes are disorganized, then I get hit by a truck. Like that's it. Like my shoes will just be disorganized, and no one will ever realize how organized they were during my life. But yeah, but that's like for something as insignificant as that. Yeah, that's fucking true. But
Yeah.
I think that when you can find your kind of like purpose, I guess, as a human, like you decide like which thing it is that you want to do and then like do it.
Yep.
There's some significance in that, and that's the thing that you can sort of leave behind. There's something that goes forward, and one of the major reasons why I do the stuff I do is because I'm half crippled. Riding a bike is difficult for me. I've had to do a whole lot of crazy shit to my bicycles to make them work, for me at least. But it's to give an example to the younger people in my life so they can see they're Uncle Distance was hardcore as fuck, like, and I want to like, because I had an uncle that taught me the same shit, and the whole like last words thing you were talking about, Bridget, like one of the last things he said, not the last thing, because if it was the last thing, we'd be in a goddamn movie. But one of the last things that my uncle that had the same disease as me said was never stop moving. And I was like,
I like that.
I do too.
I'm gonna get that tattooed on my dick.
It always comes back.
Sorry, I could feel the
Yes.
tears. Like I could feel
Yeah.
the tears starting to come, and I was like, nope. Say
Gotta
something
make a
about
dick joke. Can't be
dick joke.
sad.
If
Dick
shit
joke.
starts to get too
Repress it.
real, we always just go back to the
Repress
dick.
it.
Yep.
This is.
My-
There's nothing toxic about this masculinity.
Absolutely not. No, you're doing great. You're doing great, sweetie. So I think my thing and how I deal with that one in particular, for me personally, is I don't think anything that I do will ever be complete because of the kind of person I am. I constantly push to improve and change and perfect and, enhance. Like, I don't think any of my things will ever be done when I'm alive, so leaving them in the form of death doesn't bother me
Okay.
because I'm so like, I already know that I could live forever, and because of the person that I am, they would always stay changing and moving. Like, that's just how the world works, I think, with everything, but especially with me in particular. Like, I know that I would never ever get anything 100% done.
Yeah.
Wait, was that Bridget or Ty talking with a voice
I
changer?
know, right? That was kind of spot on. I like that, like what you said
Heed
in
all that shit, bro.
along
All
with
that
what
shit.
Low T76 said in chat. Like, can you ever truly say that you have the opportunity to complete what you need to complete?
Yeah.
Probably not. I guarantee that all the things I'm stressing about, even if I had an infinite life, are never going to be complete.
They
So,
wouldn't.
Yep. So I need to just accept that and realize that I'm going to die and they're going to be left undone, and that's okay.
Yeah, your life.
I mean,
doesn't
they're
have to
left
be
undone
perfect.
even when you're alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Your life
it's
doesn't have
not
to be perfect, just
and it's
good.
not killing you when you're alive. So like, you're extra not gonna give a fuck like when you're dead.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, let's see. What was the number 3 was the process of dying might be painful. I mean, you can fix that with a bullet if you really want to. I'm not condoning that. Just a disclaimer. I'm
Yeah,
just
she
saying,
is.
like,
We're condoning it.
shut up.
No, not on my channel. We are definitely not.
No, we are not. I'm just
Okay,
saying,
kidding.
like,
JK.
and I wish that in more states, like, there was this really big deal. It went kind of viral on the interwebs about this chick who got diagnosed with like a very, very aggressive, like painful brain tumor, and she was like, "Hey, nah, I'm good. can you give me something to just like take me out when I'm ready? And the doctors were like, no, absolutely not. So she picked up her life and moved to a place, I think it may have been Nevada, where it was like legal. Like medically assisted suicide was legal for people who like kind of passed the prerequisite of having a disease in which their natural death would be so unbearable and so painful and so like hard for people to watch that it would just be in their best interest to go on their own terms, like with it being medically induced. And I am such an advocate for that. I think that you should have control over that.
I completely agree. I'm glad we circled back to that, because Loti actually brought up earlier the question of Dr. Kevorkian and like assisted suicide. I think it's a great thing. I'm not an advocate of suicide in any way, but I feel like at that point, especially if you have a medical disorder that is going to cause a painful death, you should be given the right to choose.
Actually, I'd like to first apologize and then correct myself, because it's not assisted suicide. Suicide is, I think it's kind of like a taboo in that within this subject to call it suicide, because suicide is whenever you want you could continue living but you do not choose to. Suicide is where you take your own life when the life you have is like, you know, normal, and not normal because you're obviously depressed as shit, feel you dog, but like your life wouldn't have ended prematurely. This has a different phrase to it, and I don't remember what the like technically correct term is. I'm gonna try to Google it.
I'm trying
#do it
to.
live.
For lack of a better word, I would say viable.
Yeah.
Like you're not terminally ill. You could exist. You could live. But it also, Loti made the point of stepping back and prioritizing also as far as the stuff that you need to do in your life. And actually, the reason at one point when I'm successful by my own standards, I'm getting a cheetah tattooed on my rib cage. That's actually the tattoo me and Loti were talking about the other day. I was like, that's gonna be the rib cage tattoo, bro.
Nice. Okay.
But the reason why, and I didn't say that, is because if you look at a cheetah, if another predator, a hyena, we'll just go with, jungle stereotypes, right? Grassland stereotypes. A cheetah can't fight the hyena. It has to flee because everything about a cheetah is completely invested in speed.
Yeah.
Like everything about their body, they have partially retractable claws. And the reason why is that why a cheetah is because I like the fact that it's an illustration of hyperfocus. So like having something that's like specially built for a specific task.
Yeah.
And I think that, it sounds like Bridget shares the same kind of thing. Like I get involved in a lot of hobbies, and I have over the years, and like it gets fucking crazy sometimes. And so it's got to the point in the last few years where I've been like, you need to figure out what the fuck you like really want to do and like do that, or like maybe 2 or 3 things and just leave it at that. Because if you start biting off all this other shit, like you're just not going to be able to do all the things.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, master of none. Right.
Yeah. But so I think he's right in like prioritizing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the technically correct term is like physician assisted death or just assisted death in general.
I saw also a death with dignity. I like that.
Yeah, the Death with Dignity Act, and it's in Oregon and Washington instead of, I don't know why I thought Nevada. Maybe she lived in Nevada and then moved to Washington. Who fucking knows? But yeah, she like picked up her entire life, and I'm glad that that's something that people recognize needs to be a thing. Like I mean, for instance, like I feel like people get pressured like into, especially whenever there's like an aggressive like illness involved, especially with cancer, like everybody. And I saw it firsthand with my dad. He had cancer, and everybody, he had cancer one time, had it surgically removed, and then the doctors were like, if you don't do chemo, like there's a chance that it would, like the chance of it coming back is higher. And my entire family was like, of course you're gonna do chemo, how dare you even think to not do chemo? And I remember very specifically standing outside with him after that conversation had, happened. And I was standing outside with him next to like the bonfire in his backyard where we hung out. And I was like, I want to let you know that no matter what anybody else is saying, me and my sister support whatever decision you make because it's your body. And if you don't want to do, because he didn't want to do it, and he didn't want to like do aggressive treatment and radiation. And I told him, I was like, me and my sister support whatever decision that you make, wholeheartedly. We will be there for you no matter what. There will be no ill feelings of, don't do this for anybody but yourself. Make this decision with only yourself in mind, and fuck what everybody else says, because at the very least you will have your daughters there by your side. And I think that, because my dad would bend over backwards for anybody, nicest guy on the fucking world, would give you his shirt off of his back if you fucking needed it. So like, he's very like non-confrontational. So I think that me telling him that is what pushed him into making the decision that he wanted to make, instead of doing what everybody was pushing him to do. And that made me feel really good.
What's interesting, because like you touched on, we treat death like it's something that needs to be cured. It's like we always feel like
we really do.
It's not your time. Oh, we need to push it further and further. And it doesn't matter if we extend your life by 2 years and the quality of those 2 years is shit. Like
exactly. Like that's a huge thing. And it's I was reading in Caitlin's book. She said, the field of like geriatrics, like the care for like elderly people, those professionals are like so few and far between that we are not going to have enough of those professionals to take care of our elderly, because everything is being prolonged. And like she says that, like in Western society, to die is to basically like slap the medical field in the face, like, oh, we couldn't make this person live longer. Like, and you know how like as a society we're so hell-bent on like medicines and big pharma and all this other stuff. And she's like, everybody's like he doesn't want to die, and the doctors try to prolong lives because it would be a slap in the face to not be able to give this person an extra 2 years. But those extra 2 years, they don't know who the fuck they are. They can't talk, they can't walk, they can't do anything, they don't live. They sit there and appease the people around them that they're not completely dead yet. Like, that's fucked.
It goes back to the selfishness, right? It's only for the rest of it's not for the person that's in the situation.
I'm glad you mentioned the whole like appeasing others around them part, because I was going to raise the same point, that I have a dead aunt that she this sounds kind of harsh, but she kind of deserved it. She didn't take care of herself. She died because she didn't take care of her diabetes. So I just don't. Whatever, that's beside the point. But she got to the point where she was on dialysis and she decided to quit. And like there was a bit of a crisis everybody kind of had, and I had this moment where I think my mom was on the same page as me, but I just kind of said it to her, like, it would be selfish of us to like, if she doesn't want to keep going, to be like, make her, she can do what she wants to do, and she should do what she wants to do. And my mom's an RN, and she's done nursing homes, and she did hospice. Actually, she had the shit job. She would go out and do all the paperwork for the death calls. So it was only when someone died. It's like not taking care of anyone, just going when they die.
In all fairness, I would think the shit job at hospice would be something completely different and way worse. But I can see that still being bad.
But yeah, I mean, it's like she and I have had that conversation on numerous occasions about like why keep people alive just because, like, if it's gonna be like shitty, and like Alzheimer's is frightening. Like there's a lady, I think it was at the nursing home she worked at. She didn't remember what a chair was. Wow. And she was terrified to sit in this chair because she thought it was gonna fucking kill her. Like, just crazy shit. Of course, there's another lady that thought I was Bob Dole, but that's another story. I don't even look like Bob Dole.
I could see it.
I mean, Ty could sound like you if he tried hard enough. Voice changer. But yeah, I mean, there is some degree of selfishness about it, like when we want people to stay alive just for our own benefit. And I dated someone who worked in an emergency veterinary clinic. Same shit. Like, your cat is a fucking vegetable, dog, and just because you're too much of a fucking pussy to pull the plug doesn't mean that animal should suffer.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, like, me and my niece have had this conversation like numerous times, because like I said, she's in charge. We're in charge of each other's stuff. Like, and she told me very specifically, she was like, Bridget, if something happens to me, like say I get into a car accident, whatever, she's like, if there ever comes a time where I am on life support, she's like, unless the options of me recovering to what I am right now. She's like, if it is 1% less than what I am right now, pull that fucking plug. I don't want it. Do not let me lay there like a vegetable. Do not let me just sit around, like, come, like, have everybody say their goodbyes, and I don't care if you have to do it yourself, but pull that plug. I don't want that. And I was like, all right, cool. You got it, fam.
It's
But-
doing it yourself illegal. Like, oh, is that an electrical cord? Oops.
Whoops.
Speaking of legality, was that conversation only verbally or is that in writing?
It's only verbal right now. Her and I don't have
Okay.
anything in writing, and we need to. We've been planning for so long to sit down and like write everything out, even if it's just like typing it up ourselves and signing the bottom of it. That would be better than nothing, which is what we have right now.
Do it live.
Do it live.
If that
Planning
happened,
my death with my niece.
right? Yeah, just stream it. Yeah, you'll have a VOD of it. That's better than a signed document.
Request. Command Discord.
But yeah, so if that were to happen today, you could not actually use the conversation you had with her as right, or does that work?
I could not, but I could do my best to sway the person who I guess the next of kin would be her mom, which is my sister. I could, go to her and be like, look, listen, Linda, honey, listen, this is what she wants. I swear. Like, I think I have some text messages to prove it. But like, legally, I could not do anything because I would not be the person who made those decisions for her.
Gotcha. Okay.
And if she were married, if she were married, it would be her husband. I think right now it would technically be her mother. Okay. So I would have to go to her and like hope that she would listen to me, which I think she would. I'm sure that she's maybe had that conversation with her mother too. So yeah.
Okay. Which number do we get to on addressing how to fix these?
Alrighty,
was that 4
let's see.
Or was that 3?
That was, hold please.
Nope.
That was number 3.
Okay.
So number 4 is super easily fixable. Number 4 is that I could no longer have any experiences. Like, bitch, go live your life now.
Yep.
Like, if you're afraid of not being able to do stuff, then fucking go do it. Like, there's, I get that money is always an issue. Like, if I had my way, I would be on a beach in Thailand hanging out with elephants right now. Like, that's the first thing on my bucket list to do before I die. And that's not exactly financially feasible right now. Yeah. But I can live my life to the fullest every day that I can, and it's harder than it sounds because I'm young. Like, I don't really have any impending death on my plate currently, so some days I just like come home and watch anime, but
not that you know of.
Yeah,
you might be surprised. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that one is.
What's that?
Go ahead.
That quote. Like it's like it is not death a man should fear, but never having lived, or something like that.
Yeah.
Never having truly lived. Like it's that kind of thing,
for when I come to die, I discovered that I had not truly lived. I'm pretty sure that's Walt Whitman.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, rad. That's way better.
Yep. But yeah, that's that one is like easily solvable. You write a bucket list. You pick the things that you want to get done before you die, and you make sure that you do them as soon as possible. Right? Prioritize and you knock them out. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's.
We're solving death problems one by one. What's the next one? We got this, dude.
It's just getting solved. Like, fucking live now. There we go. Done.
The Grim Reaper fucking fears me.
That's it. Death? Who? I don't know her. Okay, so 5 is I would no longer be able to care for my dependents. And that one, like I said, I think is my biggest thing. And
make sure your dependents can care for themselves.
Well, my dependent is currently 4.5.
Within reason. You got godparents and shit planned out?
Well, yeah,
not legally. See, I need to get my shit together, man. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where he's at. Fuck you, Kitty. That's the only one I really have to worry about.
He goes to me. I get Kitty if you die.
No, Ty's a cat lady.
Yeah, I'm getting that cat.
We're both cat ladies.
I'm a cat guy, so.
Exactly. Yeah, Loti. Just multiple of these boil down to making sure you have things planned ahead of time. Right?
Yeah, and that's like the whole thing that Caitlin is all about, like having your shit together, like in writing and ready to go in the event that you get hit by a semi truck. Like that's, I think, the biggest thing. Like, I mean, I think that kind of it fixes it, but I don't think that there's ever going to be anything that like would make me feel okay about leaving my daughter before I'm like way the fuck on. Like, I wanted like want to see her have children. I want to be a grandma one day, even maybe a great grandma. Like I
Mhm.
want to see her grow up and like be a pivotal part of like the person that she becomes, because I've been through way too much shit to not raise a fantastic little human I have so far. She is the greatest thing in the entire world, the most well-behaved child I've ever seen. Like I'm proud of what I've done so far. Like I'm 4 years in, so I want to keep going and like
Yeah.
learn with her and help shape her into a tiny little person.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's not
nothing.
about like being okay leaving her. It's about thinking that the who you've set up to take your place will at least do a decent job, right? Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you're
And-
never,
and
like you said, you're never gonna feel okay leaving.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Well, and you can also know, like on the subject of making sure they can take care of themselves, like if you've had 4 and some change years to raise a human that you feel is, I'm assuming you're of the philosophy you would prefer for your child to be strong than be safe.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you have in the early time of her life done plenty of work now to increase her level of like what am I saying? To make it more probable for her to thrive later on in her life.
I
So the
hope
lessons
so.
you've taught her so far, regardless of maybe who comes along later, will probably still have some value.
Yeah, I would really hope so. Like I try to parent 150% all of the time, and like my
Mhm.
philosophy with that is treating her like she is a person, she is a human. Like I obviously make things a little bit more palpable for a 4-year-old
yeah,
when I have to explain like, hey, great grandma is in Kevin, which is what she calls heaven. And
Mm.
I'm not even religious. Like I had to explain to her like my dad was there, and it's kind of a thing. It's like a placeholder until I can get until she, well, and even now she's asked about like she asked me questions like what are churches for, and
Mm.
I explained to her that everybody, like some people have different religions and some people have no religion, and I try to talk to her like realistically
Yeah.
instead of being like, oh, if you're good you go to heaven, if you're bad you go to hell, so eat your vegetables. Like that's not me. I'm like, I try to be as realistic with her as I possibly can in a way
Mhm.
that will not damage her, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
like, I mean,
yeah.
treating them like a human, even though they're young, they're still a little person. Yeah.
I should tell you, not now, but offline, I should tell you the conversation I had with my 12-year-old nephew last Christmas.
Yeah,
It might have
Do
been a little much.
that is not TOS. You don't want to have that conversation on stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely I think anything that I tell her that isn't that is hard or tough, like
Mhm.
about religion or death or anything like that, I try to do it. I think long and hard about what I'm going to say to her before I say it. Like
Yeah.
it's not something that I'm just like, oh yeah, they dead as fuck, man. Never going to see him again. Like I would never. Like I try very, very hard to educate her while also being empathetic to the fact that she is a very tiny human. She's
Yeah.
extremely mature for 4.5 years old, especially emotionally, but I still do my very best to make the decisions on how I speak to her
That actually
to be the best for her.
reminded me of when I was probably your daughter's age. I was taken to my first funeral actually and saw my very first dead body by my grandmother, who did not at all clear that with my parents or let them know that that was going on that day or anything. So I came home later that day and had tons of stories about the man in the box, apparently, to them.
Nice.
And
Dude,
had,
you wrote an Alice in Chains song.
I pretty much did, but no, they had a lot of questions about who the fuck is this man in the box? And then once they approached my grandmother, they realized that she took me to a funeral home and to a funeral. But it's weird that it's like that. I don't remember that at all. I've heard the story over and over again, but apparently, my parents were worried that was like a big scarring moment for me, and it's like that didn't even occur at all. What was going on to me as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, children have the ability to understand. Like after object permanence becomes a thing
Yeah.
for children when they're like fucking 2,
Mhm.
like they understand here and not here, and death is a not here kind of thing, and it's
Mhm.
like used to be here but now it's not. It's like if you lose your favorite toy or something, and by lose I mean it annoyed mommy so much that I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I've never done that.
You've never taken the batteries out and just be like, oh, sorry, it died, it doesn't make noise anymore.
Okay, so she saw me take the batteries out, but we had to do it. So they're little tangent story time
Yeah.
here. My dad gave me this like Barney stuffed animal when I was a baby, and it's like if you like pushed its stomach, it would say Barney phrases or whatever. And
Okay.
I was cleaning out her like toys to like donate stuff that she didn't play with or that she was too big for, and I pulled this thing out of her like tub of stuffed animals, and it made the most demonic guttural sound, because I guess the thing was broken or the batteries were dying, but it was
Yeah.
terrifying. And this is when me and her lived by ourselves, so we were like, is this thing possessed? So like I had to like rush to like take the batteries out of it. I was like, this is fucking
Did it
terrifying.
like slow down? Was it all
want
like?
it. Yeah, that's exactly what it sounded like, actually, except it was like
Nice.
more like it was not a fun time. Nope.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Creepy.
That's creepy.
Super creepy. All right, moving on
nice.
to
Perfect, dude.
let's see.
I was just going there. You are the perfect guest. Thank you.
Okay,
got this.
let's see here. Number 6, I'm afraid of what might happen to me if there is life after death. That's rough.
Man,
I don't know, because I can't relate. Hashtag can't relate.
Well, people put so much fucking emphasis on what happens when they die. I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know. Done. Finished.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you live your life in a way that you feel comfortable with and you feel proud of, why does it fucking matter, right?
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
how I
'cause-
feel too. Like I try to live as authentically as I can, and like, but that I do that like for myself. Like while I'm living, I'm always trying to like be a better person and change and like progress or whatever and be authentic to myself. But that's
Mhm.
like for when I'm alive. Like I'm trying to do
Yeah.
that so I can be better
Well-
in my years.
Yeah.
I think that problem with death is a distinctly Western problem because of the coaching, the battle plan for when you knock on the door with your pamphlet, you say, where are you going to spend the rest of eternity?
Yep.
I think that it's actually really, really funny that a lot of people in certain denominations of Christianity have sort of moved past that. And at one point, there's a guy, he's actually in Charlotte, North Carolina, named Stephen Furtick. Don't say it too fast; it sounds dirty. But he was talking about how when he was growing up, that this is like the steps that they went through, and he was like, "Guys, this is ridiculous." I think that a lot of it is that the bigger focus, I think, on Christianity should be what do you do when you're here, not what happens when you die, because that's completely
Yeah.
egocentric and totally selfish. And one thing that I say often, I've dabbled in Christianity. I actually even played in a church band for a while. Slap on the bass, man. And actually, they didn't let me slap because it's too groovy.
Yeah.
Too groovy
That's
for Christ.
It is.
another
Yeah.
story. Well, I would have joined a band like where they play gospel music, but I'm not good enough. Their bassists are way better than me.
Slapping bass
Beside the
makes them
point.
Christians want to fuck.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
It really does.
But it's like I don't understand. That's so self-centered too, and I think that the only reason why that's in there is it's written by a Westerner and it's Westerners talking about it, and so we've got
Yeah.
this crazy like obsession with what happens when we die. When in reality, even if we were religious, we should be much more fucking worried about what we do while you're here. My friend Levi, actually, he's a Christian. He's a Baptist, I think. He said at one point said to me, he said I have forever in heaven, but I only have a limited amount of time here, which to him that makes what he does here matter a whole lot, and how he treats people matter a whole lot. So I think that
Yep.
the solution to that is just to defeat that paradigm altogether. That it's not even a relevant thing for the people who believe it to be relevant.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you read like Ecclesiastes is one of my favorite fucking books in the entire Bible. It's really cool. It's a bit nihilistic, but I mean he talks about that people believe it was written by Solomon. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the first part is there's two different popular translations. One is everything is meaningless, and the other translation is everything is vanities.
That's true.
But the interesting thing is the word in Hebrew is more closely translated as vapor, like meaning that everything is like intangible. Like it's sort of there, but like it's not. It's like you can see the steam, but you can reach out and you can touch it, and there's nothing to be felt.
Right.
So it's I don't know. He talks about the fleetingness of life, but if you read it, it's cool. It comes to like a resolution at the end. It's one of my favorite works of literature. Yes, sorry. I hope that wasn't like too. Was that too tangential?
No, not
only
at all, man.
slightly.
Yeah. I could tell you
Okay.
about a toy I had when I was a kid.
Yeah, go
Well,
for it.
I'm gonna interrupt while you do that because I'm gonna hashtag do it live. I have to fix my light because now that the sun has gone down, I'm super washed out and I look dead myself. And I while I appreciate death positivity,
It is a little fitting. Yeah.
I'm gonna fix this because
Yeah,
it's bad. I look like
like that-
Casper.
It's
Hold,
like that Rob Zombie
please.
song.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix her filters too. I'm adding a color
I mean,
filter.
that's
so
a
it
decent
works.
solution, right? Just like don't even regard that paradigm as being relevant.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Much
think
better.
that's correct. Yeah.
I guess it's just recognize it doesn't matter what happens when you die. How about that?
Well, it doesn't, and that's kind of I think I was touching on that earlier with like if you're atheist, you don't believe in any sort of afterlife. When you die, it doesn't fucking matter because you're not going to be anywhere, right? If you are Christian and you believe that there's like a heaven or hell or whatever, and depending on how you act, you're going to end up a certain place, then you live your life while you're here a certain way. As long as you feel like you've done right, then it doesn't matter at that point of death, right? Like
It depends. It depends who you talk to.
Yeah.
It
that's
depends.
completely-
It depends which thing Paul said that you want to go with.
Yeah, it's completely personal to everybody, I think.
Yeah.
I think that no matter how much we try to delve into that between the three of us, it will never be something that can be figured out.
yeah.
Yeah. Either do it the right way based on your belief system, or
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Exactly. I think
Yeah.
those are the only two options.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what the next one is. I am bad about keeping this open on my phone. Okay, the last one is I am afraid of what might happen to my body after death. And this is the one we talked about that's like the easiest to fix
Yeah.
and the easiest to have control over is, just educate yourself and draw up that paperwork that says, hey, keep me in the living room for a couple days. Throw some salt on me and bury me in the backyard. Don't do that. I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
I think that
Probably.
a lot of it just, especially based on the video we watched and a lot of what our discussion's centering around, isn't necessarily, for me at least, it's not what's going to happen to my body. It's people that are left behind having to fucking deal with my body. That's really more, I think, what I'm worried about. Because
Right.
it's like I used to do Muay Thai with a guy who was a Buddhist, and he was like, "Whose house is this?" Like, it's yours. Like, well, whose house is it after I die? Like, I don't know. He's like, it's no one's. So I kind of feel the same way about my body. Like, it's my body now, but after I croak, it's like whatever.
Exactly.
I feel like it's a healing. I feel like after you die, your corpse is like can be used as a very, very powerful healing tool for the people that loved you while you were alive.
Yeah, but it's at that point it is for them, not for me.
Exactly,
I've
like-
used it.
Yeah, I'm done here.
Yeah.
Bye.
So in other words, I guess it's
Broke
not
my
really.
lease.
It's not necessarily rational to worry yourself about what will happen to your body, but maybe it makes more sense to worry about how your loved ones will manage your body, I guess. Does that make
I
sense?
don't know. I don't know. I feel like I would like to be in control after like I'll be dead, yeah, but like if I had it my way, like and you can't like that's the cool thing about like being a human and being able to like write up a piece of paper that says, "Hey man, could you please do this for my flesh and bones after I have stopped breathing?" Like that's cool. Like and I want to take advantage of that cuz like I said it's probably my ego talking here. It's most definitely my ego
Mhm.
talking here. Like I think it's cool that I could be like hey, like please like lay me out in the living room with some nice sheets and some flowers, like dress me in like a Rocco's Modern Life t-shirt, like, just I like it's cool to have that control. And I think, like I said, it's very important, I think, to the healing process and the closure, like Doug said just now, like to have that. Like I had that with my grandma. Like I helped prepare her for her funeral. Like
Yep.
she did the usual, like, because I mean obviously she's older, like she's used to the whole like, and she's like super Christian, so cremation is not an option there.
Okay.
So she got embalmed, had the regular funeral, and I was like, and I asked my mom specifically, actually, I was like, hey, this is gonna sound weird, but because she was in-home hospice, like we knew it was coming, and I was like, when she dies, if you could, like, unless it's like in the middle of the night, which it ended up being in the middle of the night, if you would, don't let the hospice come and take her before I can come say goodbye. Like I would like to say goodbye to her before she's embalmed, and like while she still looks like my grandmother. And to their credit, the people who did embalm her did a really good job. Like she definitely still looked like my grandmother, and I like helped prepare her for her funeral. Like I did her hair. Like that's interesting. That's a lot of like, it was a lot of pressure, oddly enough. I was like, oh God, what if I fuck this up? And just letting you know, there is zero fucking literature on the internet about how to do a dead person's hair. None. Zero. I've looked. There is none.
I feel like this may be a stupid question, but what is different about doing a dead person's hair versus a live person's?
They can't hold their fucking head up.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's a good point.
No, you're right. That's definitely something that is the thing. Like whenever, let me set the scene for you. Like she was at the funeral home, obviously, and that morning before her funeral, it was in the afternoon. We came in to, get her ready. She wanted her nails painted so they didn't look like blue and stuff. Like so she picked like a nice like natural like nudish color to go on her nails, and they did that, and we were like sitting there planning everything, and they were like, who wants to be in charge of hair? Bridget? And I was like, fuck it, sure. So and I don't know why, but in my head, I pictured going into this like big medical room where everything was made out of like metal, and she was going to be on this like metal slab with a sheet over and like under harsh lights, and it was going to be very medical looking and uncomfortable, and I thought it was going to scar me, and I was like very, very worried. I was scared. Like I was very, very nervous because this was the first time that I'd seen her since she died.
Okay.
Like I had not seen her corpse. I'd seen her the last time I saw her, she was living still, barely. And so we got there, and to my surprise, good surprise, there was like this room in the funeral home specifically for that, and she was like laid out on this really nice like marble table, and she had like that was covered in a sheet, and the room was like low lighting, and it was like a homey room. It was like painted, there was flowers and like tables, and then like this table that she was on, and she had like a styrofoam block underneath her neck to keep her head up.
Okay.
And whenever bodies come to funeral homes, they like wash their hair and all that other stuff, and they do not use conditioner. That shit was so dry.
Gotcha.
I wanted to grab a leave-in, I didn't. And because she was laying down, all of her hair was like this way, and she was laying down for so long, especially because she had been like bedridden for weeks before that. So the hardest part about doing her hair was the fact that it was all pushed this way, and we wanted it to be curled and kind of like coming this way to look more natural instead of like, she was a greaser with her hair slicked back. So that was probably the hardest part, but it was not, that's the only thing that made it different from doing the hair of someone who was alive.
Yeah, I can see that.
To address Trump Tits 69.
Quality username.
Yeah, probably for another time.
Yeah.
But I'll just say it in short. Death doesn't need to be justified because it's not an option.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's an inevitability, and that's kind of what all this is about. Is we need to accept that, and we need to. Yeah.
It isn't necessarily justifying. It's just dealing with the fact that it's gonna happen, and there's nothing that we can do about it.
Yeah.
So I actually, it's funny because a couple of these guys can attest to this. Punctuality is not my strong suit. So I actually really would like for my body to arrive after everybody so I can actually be late to my own funeral.
If you put that in a paper, it would be legally binding that they would have to do that.
That is a fucking brilliant idea, man.
I'm in on this. I kind of liked it better when you look dead. That just... I just don't even know a good way to...
I need to do the same color correction to your camera now, because she's making you look horrible, dude.
Get my foot.
Are you saying that I'm ugly when I'm alive?
Ooh, this is gonna make me sound like some weird necrophiliac, but yes.
It is. That's rough.
Well, so we did solve all of the death problems, right? Was that all 7?
Yeah, that was all 7.
We solved it. Okay, so guys, we cured death. That's
We cured death.
We cured it. So that's,
Nobody's ever gonna die again. Yay.
do,
God, that would be awful.
do either of you guys have any last things to say before we wrap up?
God damn it,
Oh.
Steve. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Jesus
I
Christ.
wanted
That's all I have
to
to say.
read one of the last passages that were in that was in her book.
Cool. Yeah, go for it.
That was really, really good. Let me #do it live. I'm gonna check and see because I didn't highlight it because I just screenshot it and I was like, oh, I'll highlight it at dinner. I did not. I was eating breadsticks.
Yeah, you're a little busy.
Okay, let's see here. All right, I will start here. Okay, a quote. More and more I begin to cherish the idea of a home funeral. I have never forgotten about my original dream of owning a funeral home. My dream of La Belle Morte had morphed into the dream of Undertaking LA. Undertaking LA is the funeral home that Caitlin now runs.
Okay.
Families could reclaim the process of dying, washing, dressing, and attending to the body as humans had done for thousands of years. Family members would remain with the body, free to mourn and care for their loved one in a supportive, realistic environment. Such an idea was taboo at mortuary school, where wisdom held that embalming kept a corpse sanitary. No wonder Bruce said funeral directors were telling families that dead bodies were a threat to public health. They were learning dead bodies were a threat to public health in mortuary school. And that's a big thing that she touched on is, in so many funeral homes will straight up lie to your face and be like, no, you can't keep the body over 2 hours. You'll catch the dye. You can't do that.
That's
Yeah, you don't want to catch the die.
You don't want to catch the dye. Somebody like in the book, she literally said, or in one of her videos, she said that a family member of this person had died, and the funeral director, and the person died from like having diabetes. The funeral director literally told her, "No, we have to come pick her up now, or she's gonna like expose the diabetes from her dead body and you guys will catch it." Like that's a real thing that they actually told another human being,
that is ridiculous.
which is so far from the truth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, utterly ridiculous.
Well, I think it's interesting. Before tonight, I didn't even know that you could choose to like bring the body back home. I had no idea
Yeah.
that was even within your legal
same.
rights or anything. Like,
I'm sure that before tonight neither of you had even like thought about I could be wrong, but had either of you even thought about like what your plan for your body was after you died?
I
Yeah.
only thought about it jokingly in the being late to my own funeral context. But another time I thought about it recently, and I didn't mention this even though I probably should have. One thing I didn't know is that life insurance policies oftentimes are not for people to be able to like support themselves for a certain period of time. They're your dependents. It's so there'll be money for them to take care of your dead ass.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's actually
When
a death insurance policy to pay for your funeral.
Yep.
And whatever's left over,
yeah.
if there is any, it will go to your beneficiaries.
We have one at work, and I was like, man, what do I need that for? My cat's fine. They're like, it's not for that, you stupid little boy. I was like, what's it for? And they're like, that shit's expensive. And I was like, oh god, I'm
yeah.
gonna die. The walls are closing in. Oh no, oh no.
I'm going to die and I have no money to do it. What do?
Yep.
I'm just kidding. I think about death all the time.
Yeah, Low T, that is exactly my plan. I've got a lot of tattoo work done. I want all of my skin like framed somewhere. Yeah, I think it'd be sweet.
I want that too. I want them to frame my tattoos. I
Yeah,
want them to
that'd be cool.
dry it out like beef jerky and put it in a frame.
If I had like
an episode of Doctor Who.
if I had a piece of one of my tattoos was on a friend's wall framed, I think that would be amazing. I think that would be really cool after I'm gone.
I mean, I'm probably gonna die before you, but I'd do it.
Maybe, I don't know, man. I live a reckless life a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
One time he only looked one way before crossing the street.
Oh no, you fucking monster.
That all right.
Like I can only hope that like, the people like I can only hope that the people that love me are as morbid as I am. Like
Mhm.
I hope that I know somebody that would be like, fuck yeah, I'll keep your skin on my wall. That sounds tight. Like best believe if like my dad had any tattoos or any of my friends that have
Mhm.
passed away, like I would 100. It'd be like if somebody were like, hey, anybody want the skin? I'd be like, yes, I do.
It
you-
puts lotion on the skin.
If you
Alright,
die
take
while I'm still
clothes again.
streaming, I will frame your shark and put it on my cabinet back there. It'll be a nice little piece of backdrop. How's that
Yes,
sound?
you can have a GothxSpice cam,
Sweet.
a goth corpse cam.
You guys.
Well, I think we've gotten to a point that we're pretty much wrapping up. So before we leave, Bridget, do you want to plug any of your social media or Twitch platform or anything?
Sure. I just do the links. Do you
Okay,
have
yeah,
shout
drop some
out? Do you have
links.
shout outs on your thing yet?
I have no idea what that is. I'm a bad Twitch streamer.
So
What are
no,
shout outs?
okay. Well, we are going to have to fix that for you.
All right. Well, this weekend we're gonna work on things, right?
We are. We're gonna do the thing. Let's go to my channel. Alrighty, there it is. Follow me or catch the die. Not really. You don't have to, but it'll be tight. I stream sometimes and do stuff and things.
Yeah.
That's really it. Everything else is like on my Twitch profile, like my Instagram and my Twitter and all that other stuff.
Well, yeah. Thank you for being our guest. I would love to have you back another time. This has been a great conversation. This is I've loved this actually.
I know it's been good. This is a good time for content.
I think so too. I'm very
Are we
glad.
playing Apex after this?
Yes, we well at least two of us are. Well, hold on. Let me wrap this up real quick. So, if you guys liked the conversation, if you want to take part, feel free to join my Discord. The link is below. If you want to be a future guest on the podcast, drop by. Talk to us about the things you're interested in. We are willing to explore new topics, and that's we're trying to cover as many topics as possible here. So, if you enjoy this, let us know.